So welcome again to the third meeting of the Community Resilience Forum for Wellingborough. We started back in, I don't remember now, I think it was January. The main aim of this meeting is to bring people together from across the community of Wellingborough, including the villages as well as the town, and to see how we can all work together and respond to the challenges that we're all facing at the moment. Not just because of COVID, but obviously COVID has had a massive impact on everybody's lives. Well, before we get started on the agenda today, it'd be a really good idea if we can just do introductions. We've got some people that we've seen before, some people new. So it'd be nice to just bring, just get ourselves introduced to ourselves. As I did say, for those people that have just arrived a bit later, the meeting is being recorded, so if you don't actually want your face to appear in the recording, then obviously you can just take your camera down, but hopefully you'll still join in and listen to us and speak as well throughout the meeting. So I'll kick off with the introductions. My name is Marion Turner-Hawes and I'm the manager of the Victoria Centre. I've also been jointly leading the One Wellingborough Plus Community Resilience Project, which is running this series of fora. So thank you, and I'll pass the ball to Adam.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to be next. Adam Henley, former borough councillor now, I guess, by definition. Although a hybrid situation whereby I'm still technically a councillor until the start of May for the Queensway area, and I'm standing for election in the Brickhill and Queensway division. I am also a active One Wellingborough volunteer for another week before that closes, so that'll be a sad moment, but then I will be continuing to do some volunteering in offline, as it were. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for your contribution in that, Adam. It's been one of the best things I've done. I've enjoyed 9 months of it's been an enjoyable experience. Thank you. Do you want to pass the ball on to somebody else? I'm going to take two at the same time. Lou and Gemma.
Hi, we're Lou and Gemma. We're from Housing 21 at Ackley Court in Wellingborough. We're a retirement scheme here. So yeah, that's what we do at the moment. And of course, we've dealt with all the COVID situations, and we're just joining you as, you know, to sort of like form relationships with out of businesses, you know, and I used to come down to Victoria Centre, you know, but face to face with the forums years ago. So I know how useful it can be to, you know, to sort of signpost to other people when we get to know everybody.
Thank you. Do you want to pass the ball? Is your colleague going to introduce herself as well, or just say hello?
Oh, yes, I'm I'm the court manager, and this is I've never sort of, when you first started with us last year, it was you know, this idea of forums. I'd never really sort of been able to sort of find out what it was, and so by doing it remotely, I've never done anything like this before, so I'm really excited to see what it's about. We're hoping to do something, you know, for everyone to join us here, because we've got a lovely lounge to use, but that's not open until like June, but we're hoping to be able to use that again, you know, for everybody to use. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Do you want to pass the ball on to somebody? Pick a
Jenny.
Jenny, who's Jenny? Hello, Jenny.
I'm up the top on my screen anyway. I'm Jenny Dixon. I'm here as a trustee of SofaWise, which is a charity that recycles furniture and white goods. The goods are then available free of charge for anybody who is referred by a statutory agency, for instance, to the homeless, after a fire, any other circumstance, and otherwise the goods are available at a very low price. The charity obviously is dormant at the moment. Our lease ran out, so we haven't any premises. But because of our environmental activities, I think it could have a future linked in somehow with all these resilience activities. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Thanks very much, Jenny. Who do you want to pass on to?
Oh, Graham.
Thank you, Graham.
Jenny, similar to Adam, I'm both a borough councillor and a county councillor for the borough for Rixon and the county for Croydon Swanspool. So technically I'm two Northamptonshire councillors at the minute for till at least May the 10th. I'm also a trustee at the Victoria Centre and a board member at the Hemwell Skills Centre. I'm chairman of Wellingborough, so a number of Attlee Court residents use our services when we reopen on Monday. So get them ringing, please. And also governor at the Hatton Trust, which is 4 schools and Croydon Primary. So involved and in the town in a lot of ways. And yes, I am standing, and it's now been published, so we all know where we are.
Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you. Who are you going to pass on to?
Well, Brian, this we all.
Yeah, Brian.
Thank you. Yes, I'm another one of these strange hybrid councillor people. I'm currently responsible for the Croydon ward in the borough, and standing for Croydon and Swanspool in the unitary. So hoping to keep supporting the same people and a few extra. I'm also a director at Wellingborough and involved in all sorts of other activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pass on to Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Thanks, Brian. I'm usually left till last, but that's a treat. I'm Jonathan Hornet. I'm the chap that sent you an email about this and obviously sent you the agenda and stuff. I'm the Community Resilience Coordinator for One Wellingborough Plus. I am Secretary of Wellingborough Eco Group, and we've done quite a lot as the Eco Group of the resilience actions for One Wellingborough Plus. I'm also a treasurer for Ladywell allotments, so it's quite a busy time of the year because everybody's just had their bills sent out, so lots and lots of inquiries there. So, and obviously everybody wants to get gardening as well, which is quite exciting. I also do deliveries 3 nights a week for Morrison's as well. So as well as doing a bit of shopping for my neighbours, which is what I was doing in between working on the community allotment from about 6 o'clock this morning and coming here, I've done shopping for my neighbours. So quite a busy little bee. And because I've just mentioned Morrison's, I better pass on to the Morrison's representative, Skye Summerton.
Hello, so as Jonathan said, I'm representing Morrison's. I'm the community champion, and the reason I've started coming to these forums is basically just to engage with all of you fabulous community groups and see what we can do to support you.
Who passing on to, Skye?
Well, I think I joined a little bit late, so I'm not sure who has already been. Does anyone want to snatch the ball off me?
I think they're all too polite to snatch the ball off you.
If I throw it in the air, someone will catch it.
We'll pass it on to Jaya.
Best catcher. Go on, Jaya. I was going to suggest Gary because he likes to chuck balls and have games, but go for it, Jaya.
I'm Jaya Taylor, and I work for the part of the Wellingborough One Resilience project. I also work for Dostio, and I do a lot of voluntary work for the Hindu temple.
Thank you very much, Jay. Will you pass on to somebody else?
To Gary. Cheers.
To Gary, thank you.
Hello, yes, I'm Gary. I am the Vice Chair of Glamis Hall, and I'm representing them as well today because Joe's not able to make us. I'm also the Artistic Director of GLJ Theatre, who it meets in Northamptonshire, and I'm also the bloke that normally presents Party in the Park and the Christmas light switch-ons and things like that for the council. We are here to continue what we're doing, really. We're really excited to have our day centre reopened at Glamis this week again, and our youth activities started last night with football outdoors, because obviously we could do that there. And we're back once again with our indoor activities, obviously very limited numbers again from Monday. And did I see someone called Joy? I'm on a phone today, so I can't see anyone.
Yeah, Joy. We saw Joy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
Hello, can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you, Joy.
All right. I'm Joy Kane. I'm the lay pastoral minister at St Mark's Church in Wellingborough. And we're keen to rebuild the relationships that we had pre-COVID with the wider community, including Atley Court and Glamis Hall and all the other places that we used to work alongside. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Joy. Who do you want to pass on to?
Oh, I can't see anybody else. Hang on. Who hasn't been? Maria?
Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm here representing Glen Eagles Anglican Church and Street Church. Yeah, I think that's it, really. I'm sorry, I'm here to see if, if our input is worth it, really. If we can help in any way the community. That's it.
Thanks very much, Maria. It's lovely to see you.
I can pass the phone to, the ball to anybody else. Sorry.
Well, let's pass on to Karen. Thanks, Maria.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm Marin's wife, but also been working on the Community Resilience Forum, not forum, getting my head through, community resilience work, and working mainly with disabled people, one-to-one and also group work. So, okay.
Thanks very much, Karen. Who do you want to pass on to? I think we've got Trina and Liz that haven't had a chance yet.
Okay, I'll go for Trina.
Are you there, Trina?
I'm just getting there. I'm trying to click two buttons at the same time and it didn't want to go. Hi, my name's Trina. I work for the charity Family Support Link that is based in Wellingborough, but we're county-wide, who work with families that have been affected by somebody else's substance misuse. And I'm here to see what support we can signpost for our clients, and if there's any other activities that we can support and help be involved with.
Thanks very much, Trina.
So
and,
it's down to Liz now, really, isn't it? So,
hi, Liz. Do you want to join us?
Hi. So I'm Liz, and I've recently moved to Wellingborough. I'm not representing anyone so far. I'm a Womble. And I'm just kind of here to get involved with the community that I've moved into and see what's happening and how I can be part of it.
That's great. Thanks very much, Liz. And it's nice to see you managed to get home with all that stuff the other day.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody that hasn't introduced themselves yet? Have we missed anyone? Because it's not easy with these little boxes that everybody's sitting in.
Everybody's gone, Marion. Everybody's
okay.
gone.
Okay, so there's a couple of people here that I think are new to the Community Resilience Forum. So we'll just do a bit of a background. So the idea behind this forum is really a kind of heart and community response to how do we help each other whilst COVID is still going on, but also afterwards as well. A lot of people have been challenged and affected because of the impacts of COVID, losses of services. Obviously some people have lost loved ones, losses of jobs and various other things happening for many people. So we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could come together as a community of people and organisations and see how we can help and respond to the challenges that we are facing as residents and workers and ordinary folk within this borough and the town. So we've had 2 meetings so far. The first meeting was a general introduction and a sort of discussion, and we were saying what we'd already done. We explained a bit about the One Wellingborough Plus Community Resilience Project, and Jonathan's going to tell us a bit more about that shortly. And last time we also talked about the sorts of things that might be ingredients that could be within a community to help us all be more resilient. You know, I mean, in the first session we talked about what resilience actually is, you know, so basically how we're able to cope with shocks and different impacts on our lives and the lives of people around us. Did you want to share any more, Jonathan, about our work so far, or on the forum, before I move on a bit?
Yeah, no, can do. We've been talking an awful lot about what community resilience is, and sort of trying to work out what sort of and how to sort of build community resilience, what actions we can take. We've had a lot of ideas from the questionnaires that we originally launched for the first two forums, and there's a lot of really good sort of ideas and sort of input from people that have joined our forum since. Some really good ideas, some really sort of positive people, and like I say, it's good to see some new faces, but also some faces that have been to every one of them as well here. So I think it's making a difference. I think what we need to do is actually make a difference now, which is what today's about, hopefully, is actually sort of implemented some of the ideas and perhaps some new ideas that people haven't sort of contributed before, and seeing how we can do them. So that's what today's about. Yeah, so
shortly Jonathan will just go through what we've been doing on the Community Resilience Project. But as he rightly says, we're looking to go on from, because last time we heard about different sorts of activities that you can have going on in the community that can help individuals and groups be more resilient, like the time bank and a range of other things that we talked about. But we do want to try and pin down some actions that we can do together now, whether it's basically just signposting or finding out and keeping in touch and finding out what each of us are doing to help in our communities. And that's a positive thing in its own right. I remember in the first session, we talked about having a contact list and maybe creating a bit of a, for want of a better word, kind of map or directory of different groups and organisations and about what they're actually doing in the town, in the borough, to help people. And of course, that's going to be useful because a lot of what we are doing has changed since, you know, we might have been doing a lot of things for quite a long time, but actually, you know, it's new stuff is emerging for people. So something like that is one activity that we could do, but there's other things as well. So we want to see from this session if we can get to find out about what your plans are as individual groups and people, but also what things we can do together. Now, before we go into that, just a few sort of ground rules for our meeting, as usual. If you want to speak, it would be really helpful if we can generally mute. If you're not speaking, can you generally mute yourself? If you want to speak, if you can put your hand up or use the indicators at the bottom of the page, the reactions things to put your hand up, and we'll keep an eye out for that. What other ground rules should we have?
It's not pick and mix, Marion.
I know, it's just my memory trying to remember it all.
You may get some quiet patches from myself and Marion. You might thank heaven for that. But we are trying to write all this down as well. So if you hear some tapping, that's probably me trying to write down what you're saying. And what we will do is publish a sort of a blog article, if you like, of what people have said and what great ideas have been shared. So do bear with us a second. Are you saying goodbye? Or would you like to speak, Brian?
Just saying goodbye. I've got to start the other meeting, I'm afraid.
All right. Well, it's nice to see you, and take care. Take care,
nice
Brian.
to see you. I'll keep you updated, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Right. Let's get started then. So, I think we've is there any questions about the stuff we've covered so far, or is there anything that anybody particularly wants to see us move forward on today, other than the things myself and Jonathan have got written down? Anything burning, any burning ideas that you want to put forward to share with people? No, I'm not being overwhelmed with lots of shouty noise or anything. Oh, there's a hand going up from Sky.
Yeah, Sky. Go for it, Sky.
Oh, she's gone down now.
Hello.
Go on,
Hey,
then.
go on.
Okay, just checking it was working. I just wanted to ask if any organisations in this chat have plans for Ramadan, because obviously it starts on Monday, and we do have some plans within store, but I just wondered if it would be possible for those people to let me know what their plans are, in the hope that I can share them within my store.
Thank you. Has anybody got any plans to support Ramadan? I know it's something that I haven't really had a chance to talk to Jaya about. But
I think Deepa wants to add something.
Jaya, you mean?
Jaya. Well, you're on Deepa's.
You got Deepa's word name.
I don't know why I've got
It's a
Deepa's
shame.
name on there, but yes, well, I am Jaya, but however, to say about Ramadan is obviously when in the past, we have had events that we've done so they could open their fast and do the evening prayers at the Victoria Centre. But obviously this year it's going to be impossible because although even if you meet in groups of 6, it's still not going to be, it's not going to work out, because normally what will happen is the children would come, then the women would come and the men would come, that kind of thing. But I don't think that will work this year. However, Eid is going to be celebrated in May sometime. So hopefully by then things would have got a little bit better and the roads would have opened up a bit more. If so, then we will have an Eid party at the Victoria Centre.
Yeah, I'm not sure about party. I'm hesitating the word party at the moment until July, really.
Well, you can rephrase that, but or something. I mean, you can't have the prayers there because it won't be appropriate.
Yeah.
So they will come and have something to eat. So however you want to call that.
Yeah. So we can do some planning on that anyway, can't we? And see what we can do. So in answer to your question, Sky, it sounds like from this group of people at the moment, we're not able to say much about activities supporting Ramadan itself, but obviously clearly we'll be looking to do something to mark Eid when that happens in May. So we can come back to you on that, actually.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I don't think there's anybody doing anything to mark Ramadan, because even the mosques where they were all, you know, it's a place of worship and congregation, etc. Well, that's not happening. So I think Ramadan this year is going to be really different.
Quiet thing. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we'll just, well, hopefully if Jonathan, it's not too much of a shock for Jonathan. Jonathan, we had our AGM at the Victoria Centre a few weeks ago, and Jonathan prepared a lovely presentation. But he was trying to deliver it for us whilst he was also delivering food from Morrison's, and lots of other things are going on. Yeah, don't tell Sky.
No, I had booked the what is it, the director's room or whatever you call it, the boardroom, but like I say, it was delayed and then sort of it didn't really happen, did it? But it is on YouTube, so people can watch it there, and obviously I
was going to invite you to talk through it now, actually.
You're going to put everybody through that, are you? You can do if you like, yeah. Or I think it
would be, if everybody's okay with that, it'd be good to share some of the successes that we've had on the project, and then, you know, give us some ideas about further work that people want to do going forward. And I mean, we have briefly covered it before, but I think it would be good to just share some of what we've actually been able to achieve in the last 6 months. Is everybody okay with that? Yeah, so are you able to do that, Jonathan? Or do you want me to? I'll pass the screen over to you.
Okay, this is it's just under 5 minutes, this presentation. I don't know if I've just put you all in front of it, but can you all see that?
Yeah, Sky's putting a hand up.
Good stuff. Okay. As you can see, the Victoria Centre was leading the project. Is leading the project, and there are basically 3 main elements: community inclusion actions, community resilience actions, and community voice and leadership, which is what the forum's about, of course. This is a bit of a rush through the presentation, but if you can sort of skim through and I'll just fill in the sort of gaps. We are an organisation of partners led by the Victoria Centre, and partners include Dostio, Jaya, Karen Support Services, which is Karen, Gary, GLJ Theatre and Wellingborough Eco Group. We are funded by the Borough Council of Wellingborough and also the National Lottery Power to Change Community Fund. We started off with a Navatri Festival celebration on the 14th of October, and even our preschool children joined in, so you can see a lot of fun was had to kick off the project. Some of the community inclusion actions include Dostio and the Victoria Centre doing a Mother's Day treat. It was one of the most recent things, and that was absolutely lovely. I think I had 4 portions, didn't I, Jo? Karen, as she said, is doing support services. This is this disability support group that she's doing every week. She's probably hold about 25 now because this is slightly out of date. Gary ran, well, he was commissioned to do 10. I think he ended up doing 13 of 30 minutes of fun theatre sessions, and I was lucky enough to join 2 of those and had an awful lot of fun. This is what I was talking about earlier. We're building a community allotment. We've just finished a gazebo, putting a roof on, and that will be there for everybody in the community. Disabled groups, I believe Karen's coming down with her group. We've also started off a repair club with the Eco Group, which has come out of the repair cafe that we haven't been able to do. We've been doing that on Zoom. We've also got a Facebook group to facilitate people having stuff fixed. Something you might have seen in the newspaper is our Welly Wombles, not a One Wellingborough Plus thing at all, but it goes along with the spirit of the project because we're using the Victoria Centre to facilitate Wombles to collect their stuff. We're doing swap shops every 2 weeks, and again we've got one of those Facebook groups where people can put stuff on completely for free and either swap or give away to each other. So it's just inviting everybody to get involved safely, COVID safely, and to share. So as you can see, there's a picture of us enjoying, me and Billy and a lot of other people enjoying one of Gary's theatre sessions, the repair club and the Wombles in the newspaper. In December, the Victoria Centre and One Wellingborough Plus were lucky enough to recruit yours truly, and I've been working closely with Marion ever since to give the project a bit of a kickstart, and we've gone like a million miles an hour since. And here we are at the Community Resilience Forum, started in February, and this is the 3rd one. So we're making progress. Like I say, today's the day for action. And there's some of our lovely faces with some cracking expressions that I posted. And as you can see, 24 people were there, and it came from all sorts of organisations. We also share it. So as Marion was saying, we're on YouTube. The previous 2 forums are on YouTube. This is actually on YouTube. We're all over Facebook, and we've got a blog too. Here's a couple of ideas for the future. This is what we're talking about today. Time bank, food exchange is something that we're going to discuss in a minute. And of course, we want to make the Victoria Centre a community hub again. Of course, the biggest thing to say to everybody is thank you to everybody that's led the project, but more than that, to everybody that's taken part.
Thanks very much, Jonathan. Do you want to stop the sharing?
I will do.
I can see everybody. Has anybody got any questions about any of these activities that we've been running so far? Like, you know, you might want to get involved or join in. The swap shop has been a bit of a revelation, doing that online on a Saturday morning. And the other week we were swapping seeds. We had over 50 varieties of seeds that we were sharing, different sorts of seeds. And you know, hopefully now people are growing food that weren't growing food before, because quite a lot of the seeds were fruit and veg as well. Okay.
On that, we invited people from obviously the community, from the Wellingborough Eco Group, but also from allotment associations as well. So we'd have people that never got involved with anything like this, didn't have any idea of the Community Resilience Project, just were excited to join in because it was something to do with seeds, and she had a plot at our allotment. So fabulous.
Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to move on to now really is what next. You know, you've heard a lot from us over the last few meetings. We've seen a bit about the activities, some of the things that we've had going. So if you go back, if we think back to the 3 aims that Jonathan talked about within the project, obviously a lot of it's been about trying to help and include people from different communities to be a part of getting support and also helping each other. And there's way more of that still to do. We've done some different community activities. Well, let's think also about the leadership part of this. How do we help people to take part? So we're really interested to see what next, really. You know, the forum is an opportunity for us to decide, you know, in terms of leadership, what do we want to get out of meeting together? You know, is this just a forum to share ideas and tell each other what we're doing? Or can it also be, because it can be, a way through which we can coordinate actions and work on different things together. You know, last time we heard about different community activities, and we've heard some examples of those now, but what else would we like to see going forward? I mean, we know from the community resilience projects some of the things we'd like to build on, and one of those we're going to talk about later is about creating a food network, but and hopefully a local time bank. But what other things would we like to do? What do you want to get out of coming together every month or every few weeks to do this? Gary, do you want to start off?
Yeah, let me put my hand down because I'm using my phone. There we go. Perfect. I think it's probably beneficial to have this as a sort of a funnel, I think is the best way of describing it, that if people have got ideas or events, obviously when we're allowed back into events, to put it through this forum might be a good idea, because then if someone's thinking about doing something similar, they can get involved in it. As soon as we, you know, someone's going, yeah, I want to run a tea dance or something, if someone wants to get involved in it, it'd be a great way for partnerships to come together and not put 2 on at the same time, if that makes sense. I think that is what this could turn into, really. And then that starts communications, obviously, and conversations. So
it's a way of promoting activities, yeah, and a way of maybe thinking about some collective activities in response to anything that we're seeing coming up. And any other thoughts about what we could do with this forum and how we'd want to run that? Come on, don't be bashful, don't be shy.
Marion, I was going to say as well, oh, sorry, there's someone else speaking. I was going to say as well, we had a fine example last night of some young people who came to the football club and told us, we set them all a challenge to try and hit the crossbar for next week. And they told us that they don't own a football. Their families can't afford to buy them a football. So this could be, in my opinion, a great place to then see if we can share more resources or set up a project to buy a football or textbooks, you know, whatever's needed for community groups. That could be another way of us working together.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Any other thoughts about what we can do?
Can I just say to Gary that I'll bring him up 5 footballs on Saturday, because somebody gave me some and my boy's a bit too young to play with them. I think Graham's had his hand up for a while.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 2 things. First of all, yes, I can think of a place where we can get some footballs, because that should be easy enough. I don't know whether you want full-size ones or junior-size ones, because there are differences. But the thing I was thinking, in the presentation, you were talking about identifying people who need help, and I think that's one thing that there could be some cross-referencing of the people actually finding the people who need the help. You know, it's all very well laying on things, but you've got to be identifying who needs what help, and there's a danger when you put on an event, you get the same people all the time, and they're not necessarily the people who are hidden away and aren't putting their hand up for help, because people have pride and they don't always do that. So that's one thing. Identifying the people could be a way of cross-referencing. I'm aware of GDPR and all this sort of stuff, but yeah, that's an important element.
Yeah, thanks very much, Graham.
Can I answer Graham on that? Because what we are hoping to do, continuing the project in whatever form, is to actually get out to different organisations and to sort of take my camera with me, because we did that for the eco group for our advent calendar, but to expand on that, to see what other services actually do and want, and hopefully sort of show people what there is. Because I think at the moment, and I can see probably Lou, I think Lou and Gemma sort of alluded to this earlier, is that there are facilities out there, but people are kind of hidden away and the services are hidden away because of COVID. Wouldn't it be great to sort of have like one resource where people could see all of the services, and then, like you say, Graham, that people could find these resources and then join in? That's kind of what the project's all about. What myself and Marion and the partners have done is to show people that things can be done. But I think the next stage, as Graham rightly says, is to then sort of make sure that everybody's able to get into those activities. I think Graham's got his hand up again. Have you not put your hand down?
I don't know, it's a latent hand or a lazy hand. Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of the things with some of the activities that we've been running is that, you know, I guess when I first thought about the Community Resilience Forum, it would be a bit like a daisy, you know, the centre of everything and the hub through which lots of different activities could come from, or coming back in, a place through which we can let all the different petals know about what's going on, as well as responding to challenges and crises, and coming together as a collective to try and help with those. So, and I know, I mean, through the swap group, the swap club that we've been running, and the repair cafe, people are starting to think about what resources have we got and how do we share them. And actually, I mean, there's a small group of us been attending that swap club, but also there's a lot of people registered on the Facebook page, and there's a lot of swapping going on. So it's how we can carry on doing that as individuals, but also how can we share resources as groups or as organisations, perhaps. So I personally would really support the idea of us creating a resource that actually is holding information about what we're all doing. I really like the idea of, when we can, getting out to film what each person or group is doing and how they'd like to help, and so we can share that, because COVID's going to carry on for quite a little while yet, isn't it? And there's going to be a little while before quite a lot of people that have been shielding will actually come out and take part. So there's still quite a bit to do to let people know, A, about what help's available, but B, about what other activities they can join in. I'll pause there. I see Gary's got his hand up again.
Yeah, again, that's
all right,
nice.
That was rough, wasn't it?
Again.
No, I didn't mean it bad.
Nobody's allowed to speak, by the way.
I was going to say, Marion, I was just going to carry on from you, because we're working in partnership with, and they've been on here before, with Made With Many to deliver a community tour show this year. And we found it so difficult getting in contact with local groups to say, we've got this free show that we're trying to give away to people, but it's finding the contact. So I think that's what it could be useful for as well, is not just always asking for help, it's offering the help as well, or the activities to other people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Any other ideas? Hang on, Jonathan.
Go on.
Sorry.
Who's?
No, carry on. What
You want me to carry on? But the same website that we're using to register for this forum has been set up to sort of do that. So it's like a newspaper thing, and like I say, it's there. It just needs people to say, hi, I'm Gary from GLJ Theatre, this is what we do, and then there'll be like an article about you, Housing 21. Sofa wise, Jenny, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm not speaking as Sofa wise. I'm speaking as someone who was linked to Victoria Centre 15 years ago. I've been turning out loads and loads of boxes of papers in the garage, and I came across something called Wellingborough Early Years Liaison Group, published, I think, round about 2006, 2007. Now, this is for Victoria Centre as the centre of all the information about early years groups in the town. and it's also in every language. So it's quite an important publication. What I'm saying is, at that time, Victoria Centre was the information centre for early years, as it was for other things. So maybe one of the future roles of Victoria Centre is to become established as an information centre, both in practical terms, people, paper, as well as digital. And this is printed, as I say, all the information is in about 7 different languages. I can send it in to you, Marion, if you like.
Yeah,
But
okay, thank you.
it's a good example of how you can put targeted information for one group into a leaflet. Nowadays, it would be on digital as well. And I believe that both are necessary. People like to go into a library, for instance. This could be in the library. Pick something up. They don't always want to go onto a screen to find information, but they want to pick up something and take it away with them and have a cup of coffee and look at it. So that's just an example of a possible role of sharing information. I'll let you have it, Marion.
Thanks very much, Jenny. And any other thoughts about what other things we can actually do as a forum together? You know, because we're giving up valuable time to be together. What do we want to enable as a result of that? Trina?
I think it'd be really useful to have a directory, because I know during COVID, obviously one of the things I was particularly looking at was looking at all the other support services that are around the community and the county, to try and have a directory internally so that we know who to signpost to, and looking at, you know, there are other things besides just recovery service, etc., that our clients need. So it's really useful to have one central point. It's going to be a massive challenge, because bearing in mind that things change, to try and keep that up to date. That's going to be one hell of a task involved.
We'll move on to how we do this together a bit in a minute. But thank you for the idea. Thank you. Any other thoughts about what we can use the forum to do to achieve, Jenny?
I was thinking more in terms of how SofaWise, the charity already established, might be able to support all sorts of activities. I think I'm probably going to have to wait and see, for instance, your food network. If you're going to be taking stuff out, SofaWise has to have a van by the very nature of its work, and its van, suitably insured and with proper drivers, could double up to be a means of transport for the swap shop, the food, all sorts of other things around the periphery of the town or the villages, or just down the streets. A mobile shop, in other words.
Has SofaWise actually got a van then?
Not at the moment. We have the value of the van in cash in the bank.
Oh, that's handy to know, isn't it? So there's a potential. There's a potential of having a vehicle for the community.
Yeah, because SofaWise, by the nature of its work, has to have a van, a fairly big one, because you're going out to collect furniture from houses all around the area. It requires qualified drivers, proper insurances, and at least one other person to provide the crew, because you're going to perhaps be moving big wardrobes or beds, heavy refrigerators, all sorts of things like that. No, we haven't got a van at the moment, and we haven't got premises, but the potential is there, because we're not closed down. We've got our trustees, minus Hugh Fenton, unfortunately, who chaired us, and we're just sitting there at the moment, but looking for a new role. And I think we could have a new role, providing some other people are prepared to move over and become trustees of it, because it's a charity that's been running for 17, 18 years, so it's well established.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Thank you. I notice Graham's got his hand up.
Yeah, just to comment, what you mustn't do is duplicate stuff that's going on elsewhere. So, for instance, MVCA already have, they're the LIO, so they already have a list of all the organisations, and of course are mailing them out. So,
sorry, Graham, could you explain what LIVO and NC, whatever it was?
North End's Voluntary Community Action, they're part of SERVE now, and LIO is a local infrastructure organisation, which is a national thing. If you look for LION nationally, that's local
Thank you.
national body for them. So they already have comprehensive lists of people doing things, and so you may find that that's where you need to go. Sorry, with Jonathan interrupted me, I forgot the other thing I was going to say.
Sorry, Graham.
It'll come back to me in a minute.
I'm trying to think what you were saying. Yeah, anyway, the point is well made, and I think it would be important for us to connect with NBCA and see exactly what they're doing and who they're already connecting with. So there is a thing of having a shared directory, whether we create a new one or whether we speak to the likes of NBCA and others and see about adding to what they're doing. But it is about making that available. I think it's also being about something being quite agile in the sense of how up to date is the directory that they're able to keep. And given that most of us have had to change the way we do things, particularly this last year, has that already been reflected? So yeah, I'm very much up for, if someone already doing it, let's add to what they're doing, not start again, because obviously they've probably got a good list of contacts.
I've thought of the other thing that was on a similar vein. I mean, Support Northamptonshire, or Wellingborough are supposedly running a forum as well. Now, again, you don't want two forums of the same people. So I don't know whether I haven't heard that that's actually meeting or doing anything. But there's no point in duplicating and getting people running off in different directions. So at least make sure that there's some joint working there, some joint thinking.
Yeah, to see what they're doing as a forum as well. Okay, thank you for those, Graham. Gary again. Sorry, I shouldn't take the word again. Gary.
Oh, Marion, me and you can have to have words soon.
It's not, I'm just saying, Gary.
Following on from Jenny, it sort of sparked up with that little booklet. We obviously used to, I'll talk with a Glamis hat on for a second. We used to obviously do the remarkable queue for the Queen's Way, which lots of people thought was a really beneficial sort of booklet, but you got to a stage of digital sort of was taking over and people weren't so bothered because they saw it on Facebook, etc., etc. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. Ilse Barton do a wonderful little sort of magazine called Barton Today. It's, I'm not saying we make something like that, but it might be worthwhile to put these good news stories, these directories in different languages and so on, like Jenny said, into even if it's only every couple of months or 3 months or something, with the directory if people want the information. And then obviously if we can give it out at each of our locations, we can say, oh, something has changed. It's a bit of an editing job probably, but we can then say, oh yeah, this is the other services that we're in partnership with the forum. It just might, we can put them in the library, we can put them at Glamis, we can put them at the Victoria Centre. I don't know.
No, I think that's a really good idea, because actually what we're talking about, I think, there is not only having lists of names and contacts and organisations, but actually telling stories and bringing it all to life. That because there is a lot that goes on in Wellingborough, and we could all be ploughing our own furrow in a particular direction, and we don't know what other people are doing. There's that, but equally, it's good to know how well people are doing or how not well they are doing, and then how we can pull together, because it's hard to pull together and support each other as a community if we're a bit fragmented and we're not in touch. So actually a little bit of a community news story stuff. And actually, I'll see your hand, Adam, I'm not ignoring you. Actually, if you think about the sort of community news thing, is also a way of getting lots of people involved, and young people as well, involved in learning new skills and sharing stories and talking about their own experience. I think a really good element of community cohesion and resilience is about people knowing each other, getting to know each other. And part of that can be responded to through things like news and news stories, whether it's a kind of little newspaper, or whether it's news on the radio or that sort of thing. Anyway, I'll shut up and pass on to Adam.
Yeah, I was just going to feed on to Graham's point about knowing where everyone sits in this place as well, because I've got after nearly over a year of silence, I've got a Queensway Partnership meeting next week.
Oh, wow.
And the reality is that I think when I spoke at this meeting 2 times ago, I didn't know whether A, it would reform, B, as to what where it would go. I guess I'll know more after next week. But the reality is, a lot of those organisations have been fairly quiet for a year.
Yeah, I think, can I just follow on from what Adam's just said? Because we, as the eco group, did that as well for the first few months of the lockdown, like lockdown 1, because you just couldn't do anything. But obviously with this project, with slight sort of loosenings of restrictions, we've been able to sort of change what we do and kind of do other things to try and get people talking safely and like acting in the community safely. But you're right, there's going to be a lot of, unfortunately, sofa-wise is sort of not being able to do what they've been doing because things have changed and things have closed, if you like.
Something. Hang on a minute, Jenny. Hang on a minute.
She's got her hand up to. I knew she was going to bite onto that fish.
Well, we're just asleep. We're not gone. We're not closed. We're asleep.
No. But I've used you as an example. I thought, oh crap.
Yeah, I think. Well, the reality is, a lot of things are asleep, and that's fair enough, actually, because that's kind of the land we're in, isn't it? Well, one thing I wanted to share about the forum is I think something I would like to, a strand of activity I would love to see developing is the whole thing of telling our stories and getting to know each other. An idea I shared with Jonathan many years ago, and something that hopefully the eco group was looking to develop, was about a talking library. We've got a lot of people in our community that have got so much insight and stories to tell about Wellingborough, about the history of Wellingborough, about the history of different places within Wellingborough, about their own lives, about their own life experiences, and lots of communities. In fact, this is something we could maybe do as a collective project. Lots of communities gather their stories of their heritage, their audio heritage or oral histories, don't they? And actually something like that as a project to start to hear the voices of people of Wellingborough, whether they are verbal voices or sign voices or whatever, would be a lovely way of getting people to come together and get to know each other. And the other thing about the talking library is that it isn't just about sharing your own story. It can be about sharing your skills and experience as well. So you might be really good at trying to think of an old skill. So maybe you used to be a roof thatcher in a house, a roof thatcher of a house, and that skill's not seen so much, but you might want to pass on that skill to others. Maybe there's other skills that you've got you'd like to share, and rather than people either reading it off the internet or reading it off a book, actually hearing a human being sharing about that is something that we could facilitate both physically, but actually through things like this, through recording people's stories.
I think Jenny wants to go again.
I know. I'm just finishing my bit. I can see your hand, Jenny. I was just finishing.
Gary sort of with the
so the forum could be a route through which we enable people to get to know each other. You know, there's lots of different sorts of people live in Wellingborough, and for lots of different reasons, actually. You know, some people live in Wellingborough and they don't use any of the services or the facilities of Wellingborough, and they're constantly going to other places. Other people use the facilities and resources of Wellingborough, and they don't go to many other places. Many of us are not going to many other places at the moment because of lockdown, but there's so many different experiences, and actually the more we get to know each other, the more we can actually be a community and maybe then develop resilience that way. So I'm putting forward that idea.
Possibly with the restrictions lightening, we can do that. Can we let Jenny speak before she explodes? And then Graham's next, I think.
Just on the subject of duplication, it's a brilliant idea. I don't know anybody who's recording history orally, but we have the Civic Society with masses and masses of records and people with stories about Wellingborough. We have the museum with rooms that are jam-packed with boxes of photographs and things that have not been explored. I've got 2 boxes of Wellingborough to donate to them. So we should work with them, not duplicate. And of course, the other area where the progress of Wellingborough has been logged is the Borough Council and joint planning units, and the way they have looked at conservation areas in Wellingborough. Before creating a conservation area, planning for buildings, the before and after scenes. So there's a lot of records, or should be, at the Borough Council when it morphs into the Town Council. I'm hoping the records will still be there. So that's 3 areas where we need to work with them, maybe draw out their membership to join with us. Maybe a history forum, I don't know. But again, I'm saying don't duplicate what others are doing.
Thank
I don't think Marion was talking about duplicating. I think she was talking about personal stories more than sort of
Yes,
new
but
takes.
if somebody else is also doing that, that's what I'm saying. Be aware that there may be other organisations doing that, or it may be a development of something that they are already doing.
We'll
Okay.
talk to
I don't know.
them.
It's just an idea, a caution,
Thank
if you
you.
like.
Okay, so
could we let Graham go next, or you? Sorry, Graham's had his hand up for ages.
Okay.
Well, actually, Jenny's led me in quite nicely with something I was going to say, and I don't mean this politically, and I hope Adam will agree. But the Town Council will be a lot more able to be flexible and local and look at things like this. And it will be, there won't be many staff, so it will be councillors, and Jenny was talking about the people doing the work. But yes, it will be able to just focus on little projects like this and do things with a much more local outlook. So there will be opportunities, I'm sure. It's got, I mean, nobody's met yet, obviously, because it's not been elected, but there is a little bit of funding there for community projects. So it may well be something that can be looked at, but certainly it would be in partnership with places like the museum and the civic society and so on. And yes, a lot of the planning staff will morph over, so they'll be there able to produce the sort of information Jenny's talking about, I'm sure.
So another function then, in a way, of the forum could have is actually bringing different groups together and also influencing bodies where they've got resources. So, for example, obviously Graham just mentioned the Town Council, but it could also be funding bodies that have resources. And I mean, you know, we talked in the first session about lots and lots of challenges that different people and families are facing in our community. And so another function or another purpose of the forum could be about pulling different partners together, particularly, but also people, to help address some of those challenges. Now, we've got lots of different fora within the town, within the borough rather. Obviously, we had like the homelessness forum. We've had a forum that I'm a part of that is about it's the police advisory group, the independent advisory group, and we liaise with the police every month or every 2 months, and inform their thinking and their work within our community. And there's probably other fora as well. So again, I think that can be identified through the resource directory that we might look to create, but it's also a way of us actually trying to influence how resources are used, you know, and support that. We can, you know, maybe access our own resources or share our own resources, but equally also look to access other people's resources or other funds. Any other ideas about the function of, so I'll just go to Joy first, if that's okay, Jenny.
Yeah. Yes, I need to go in a minute. So I just wanted to outline something that we're thinking of at St Mark's Church. Through this group, I had an email from Nikki at Greatwell Homes saying that she'd like to chat to me about the challenges that we face as we move out of lockdown, and to see if we would be interested in applying for a community grant. And something that we're thinking of doing is setting up a well-being cafe on a Saturday morning when we're able to, because we're so aware of all the different emotional and spiritual needs and the physical needs that people haven't been able to address, and especially people who have been bereaved and haven't been able to grieve in the way that they would want to. And we have someone who is training as a parish nurse, and she wants to set up this wellbeing cafe on a Saturday morning. So that's the main thing that we're focusing on at the moment.
Thank you very much.
Was that Nicky Glazebrook, Joy?
Yes, it was, yes.
It's a bloke, actually. So it's not a girl, it's a bloke.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's a man.
Sorry, I haven't seen her yet.
Yeah, no, he's a good bloke. I was going to say, if you're able to stay slightly longer, Joy, I don't know if you have to rush off.
Okay.
But we've got an idea as well that we wanted to share with everybody, and we'll do that shortly. If I can just take what Jenny was going to share, and then I don't know if Graham's got his hand up or if it's a latent hand from earlier on.
Better latent hand.
Yeah, okay. So if you wanted to say your piece, Jenny, and then we'll move on.
Just very quickly, when we're talking about organisations and obtaining funding, if you have a charity on board with you, it's sometimes quite a good way of obtaining funding through the charity to facilitate the aims of the charity. And SofaWise would be willing to expand its aims and objectives.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously we've been doing that through the Victoria Centre at the moment, but obviously there are other brands of charity are available too, as Jenny rightly points out. But yes, absolutely. Anything else anyone wants to share before we move on to the next point? So there's lots of opportunities for the forum to do various things. I personally hope we can do some very practical things that actually really speak to the sorts of things that Joy was mentioning a moment ago. There are very practical needs that some people have around food. There's practical needs that some people have around employment or work skills or whatever. There's practical needs that people have in terms of mental well-being and emotional loss and physical loss. And also, you know, people not having many resources themselves. So being able to build on all of those things would be really helpful, adding to what we would have been doing. So what was I going to say? Then the next one we wanted to do, obviously we shared earlier about some of the things we've already been doing. So now we want to actually look at is a couple of other ideas that we have to add to that. Before I do that, I just wanted to say, you mentioned, Joy, about the bereavement support. So at the last, the first Community Resilience Forum, I mentioned that we at the Victoria Centre were going to set up this wall of remembrance, and we've now done that. So there's a little space in the sanctuary, and I chose the sanctuary particularly because the energy in the sanctuary is pretty brilliant. To just mark anybody really who we, and any loved ones that have passed on that we want to remember. So we will do a little feature about it and pass it on to people. But if you know of anybody that would like to share pictures of their loved ones or words or whatever, they can forward it to us at the Victoria Centre, and we'll start populating that wall and starting to remember people. And I know other churches or groups might want to do something similar, and it'd be really nice to just share that story around the whole of the town and the borough. So that's my final bit. Okay, so moving on to what next again. A couple of us have been, at this point, you might want to share about some of the ideas that you've got about what next. We wanted to share with you about a couple of ideas that we're working on, and Jonathan briefly mentioned it when he was doing the presentation. One is about creating a community time bank, and another is about creating a food network. So we had a meeting about this last night, and actually went on for hours and hours. So the potential to talk about it, the potential to talk about it for
I should have taken advantage of my free Zoom rather than Karen's paid one.
Yeah. The potential to talk about it for hours is considerable, but I don't want to do that now. But we wanted to let people know that we're looking to set up, if we talk about the food part of it first, we're looking to set up a food sort of sharing or food exchange network where people can come together. We create a membership, people come together and we can access, at the moment we get a fair share order, a delivery into the Victoria Centre every fortnight. I know Glamis has a fair share delivery as well. We tend to use ours to both support the childcare service, but we also used to use it to have food there to make the One Wellingborough frozen meals that we were helping to do, Jaya was doing for a long time. And but we also want to see if we can use that to support community volunteering. So we were looking to set up a food exchange network where we have food in our store at the Victoria Centre, and people who are perhaps volunteering in the community, maybe doing the Wellingborough wombling like Liz is doing, or helping out in any other way, maybe helping like Adam did on the One Wellingborough service or other community activities where they can earn time credits. And I haven't got my time credits here with me because we're in this night. And then maybe access some food from the food network, not necessarily through money, but through showing their contribution to the community. So we're looking to establish this idea. We've got the maker. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Karen. That is a little time credit. That's one that we produced earlier, about 10 years ago. But so the idea would be that we try and create a virtuous circle of support or an infinity thing where people can access the sorts of things they need. And we batted around this for a while last night. Initially,
and we haven't thought about it since, haven't we, Marion? Crikey,
yeah,
I've got a few more sort of things to say about it, but yeah.
Yeah, the initially it would be based around food, so people could be volunteering in the community, earn time credits, and then access a bag of food for one of their time credits or a couple of their time credits. And then, but also they could earn time credits and access other sorts of services and facilities as well. Now, we deliver a number of little services, etc. at the Victoria Centre. Our partners are doing different things as well, so we could add to that. But it may be if other groups or partners or individuals that are interested in this idea want to join us in this, developing this, we could also look to add other things that people could exchange for the time credits that they earn. Now, the magic of a time bank is that people come together. Again, it's about building knowledge and building community. And it's slightly more, it's much more personal connection than perhaps just exchanging a pound note. And people do work together to make the community feel better and look better, for example, or just to support the needs of people in the community. So we're looking at establishing this. And I guess before I go on too much, it would be interesting to know if other people are interested in that idea, because we want to kind of move on, particularly on the food part. We want to move on from the idea, you know, and with the greatest respect to many of the food banks that operate in the town. Personally, I would love that we was in a situation where we never had a food bank in the town, not because I hate the work that they're doing, but because I want everyone to be able to be not have to scrat around for food to live, you know, in a modern society. But how do we get further to make food affordable? And this is why we want to look at that whole exchange network of trying to see how we can make food affordable for people going forward.
Marion, can I move it on to a simpler thing to say that, like, Jaya, for instance, does this anyways? It's about looking after the volunteers and sort of enabling them to come back. Like, a lot of charities will make them a cup of tea or give them a sandwich or something after they've done some volunteering. This is kind of doing exactly the same thing, but all together. And I think it's a fabulous idea to sort of do that. And whether you call it a time bank or time credits, or we discussed all sorts of names like time tokens and time tickets, that people can sort of share with each other. The idea of like a time credit, I think Karen held up earlier, is that, for instance, if a volunteer did some volunteering, Adam's done loads of volunteering for One Wellingborough if he gets like a rake of these tickets, he might say, well, actually, I don't really need anything doing. I'll give them to Joy at St Mark's, who needs a wall painting or whatever. And then they can say, well, hello, we've got 15 time credits. Would anybody like a time credit to come and do some painting for us? It's just kind of...
Which they can use, which they can then use to access food from the food exchange network.
Absolutely. It's all about sharing them, and you can share the time credits as much as you can share the food, as much as you can share. It's about working together. So it's not just about the Victoria Centre, it's about everybody.
So the question is, you know, we're not going to go into great detail on this today, but if you are interested in this sort of network as a way of trying to help bring people together, help make volunteering more sustainable, but also help people who may be struggling access food and the sorts of resources they need, please let us know. Is anyone else burning to say anything on this, or anybody interested in that idea? Do you want to say anything,
question,
Jaya?
Marion? Sorry.
Okay. So we've shared an idea. If anybody wants to join in with us to develop this idea, is anybody up for doing that? Anybody up for helping to create and move this idea forward? I've got some resource to add to it, some money. No.
It's about sort of doing stuff for each other, like people could do something at the community allotment and really get something out of it for themselves. And then they could, for that one token, then, like I say, pass it on and share. For instance, Gary could say, instead of giving away his free shows, there we go, have a show, just give us a token. I'm sure there might be, I'm not going to say there's ever a spare seat sort of watching Gary's pantomimes, but you imagine that sort of if you can get into a pantomime for a time credit, awesome.
Okay, so if anybody's interested in following up on that idea, please get in touch with me or Jonathan. That's something we wanted to share. I think Joy's left us now. Okay. Is there anything else that anybody wants to really develop? There's burning to develop within, and yeah, that you want to tell other attendees about now? No. Okay.
Has anybody got a new project they would like to sort of promote? Because actually that's exactly what Marianne has just sort of asked, but not in those exact words. I know everybody has got projects that they're desperate to get on with, and obviously things are a little bit sleepy at the moment. Gary's already sort of introduced something, but is there anything that they want to sort of, for us all to be involved with, or not us to be involved with, just to share with us?
To share that as the weather will get a bit better, we will start doing outdoor exercises again. So there'll be every Wednesdays between 11 and 12, but it just depends on the weather. So if it's forecasted for rain, we might change it to a Tuesday or a Thursday, but it's for the community. Anybody can join.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant, thank you. Anyway, Gary, can you tell us a little bit about your, was it called Journey to Oz?
Yeah, our trip to Oz. It's in partnership with Made with Many. It is literally a family version, family-friendly show of The Wizard of Oz. It's got a wonderful local company of teenagers and adults in the cast. There's only 7 of them doing all the characters. And we're also offering a free community workshop to go with it, which might be in the shape of goodie bags for them to take home, I'm afraid, because of COVID restrictions or whatever. But we're looking at going around all the local centres. Hint, hint, Marion. Don't forget to book us.
I did send us an email the other day. I did see it, but I thought, right, well, I usually say, yeah, I'd love to do it, and then
We're already with Wellingborough Museum. Have already asked us to come there. We're looking to go to St Mark's. Joy's gone now, but I spoke to Reverend Ben up there. Obviously, we'll be at Glamis, and we're looking to go to the Hemingwell Centre as well with that, and the Victoria. So we're hoping to go to 6 places around the town with the show. It's all free. There's no cost to the people coming to watch. It's just hopefully going to be an event that can bring the community back together. And what better way than a family loved show that everyone knows there's The Wizard of Oz.
Did you say 7 people playing all the parts?
7 people are playing all the parts.
Picturing 4 of them walking along, and that doesn't leave a lot of space, a lot else with 3 people.
No, you'll have to come and watch it, Adam, to see how it is.
I'd have a go.
Just a thought, Gary. Actually, I'm not sure the time scale over which you're doing this, but as Jay was saying about the weather getting better, it might be an idea to see if you can do it outside as well. I'm thinking in the parks, in the bandstands. I'm thinking particularly Castlefields Park. There's a beautiful bandstand, but obviously there's other bandstands in other parks as well. And yeah, so actually,
we're looking at doing at each venue. There's an outdoor plan as well for each location and an indoor, just really for the tech side. But obviously, if there's a cover, then that would be fine. And it's probably worth saying at this point as well, we've also already been in contact with all the community groups, and schools have really got involved in this as well, where we've asked everyone in the community to design a yellow brick road, which is going to be used within the show itself, and they'll be able to see their bricks in the community show.
Be nice to have one emerging around the town, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Just a thought as well. You might want to talk to Jim that runs the little rail house at the train station, because one of the things with the way the train station's been, redeveloped, is that I think they were talking about setting up a community trust or something to take over the various large spaces around the, or not take over, but do things with. That the forecourt now on the road there, by the little rail house, would be a great space also to maybe look to do a performance, because I know that going forward they were talking about having like little market stalls and stuff outside the train station because of the big forecourt that they've made. So again, that'd be a different space.
Yeah, we were obviously in conversation. We still are, but she's got a different capacity, as probably Graham or Adam might say differently. Now it's all changed a bit, but we were talking with Julia Wells about using the new market space that had been made available, parked in the park, obviously as well. But who knows? Bless her, she's trying to do other things, I think, at the minute.
Yeah,
I think all those things will happen in due course, Gary, and certainly the event space in the market's going to be available, whether it's through unitary or town council, but I don't think Party in the Park will happen this year.
No.
But certainly at Hemwell's open to you, as you just said, and Julia's still around, so I'm sure we'll get it done.
Okay. Any other ideas anybody wants to share? The stuff they're doing at the moment that they want to tell other people about? We've lost Sky, haven't we? She was saying about Ramadan. Anything anybody else wants to share before we finish?
Well, we were talking about starting new groups off and stuff at the Victoria Centre under a slightly different sort of guise, if you like, sort of having a thing where people can actually come in, start their group off and develop their group, and possibly either have sort of space at a reduced rate or even free to start off with, and then when it takes off, start paying for their space, but trying to support them by doing it at the centre, but also with their promotion and perhaps with their technical side and everything else. An idea, just the first one I thought of, is my son's bardic basement that he's got really into, and he's got a lot of real sort of talent, musicians, poets, sort of recording bits and sharing on YouTube and his podcasts and things like that. He's desperate for a space in the town to sort of do something like that. So why not bring that to the Victoria Centre or Glamis Hall or a venue, and create a venue where sort of new groups and stuff can start off. Knitting groups, I think we were on one of the swap shops, and one of the people were talking about, it was the seed swap shop. They'd sort of recently become disabled and found that there wasn't any sort of little groups going on that they could join in with. giving groups like that a home in the centre and of course across the town, if we can form this network, would be a fabulous thing to do.
Thank you. Anyone else before we finish? Yep.
Only if Graham and Jonathan will support us giving some footballs, like they said earlier, for our football club. We'll be very grateful. It was very actually, you know, when we were standing there last night thinking, why are we doing this again for? It's freezing cold, it's raining, and then a child said, this is the only time I get to play with a football. You know, that's why we did it for. So, beg your pardon, Graham?
What age group?
We have from 7 upwards, so they use medium-sized balls mostly. But
I'm not saying they're perfect from me. They're from a neighbour, but they will do. They're a good set of balls.
Yeah, anything. It's just sad that they didn't have, you know, they didn't own a football, which is me and Laura then said we're going to make it if we can ask people to help us give some football to them.
I shall bring them down with the raspberry plants on Monday for you.
Thank you very much.
And well, I guess one thing I wanted to ask is how do we help? Because the Community Resilience Forum can only really be as good as the people that are able to take part and join in. So how do we help more people to come along and take part and join in? So we'll organise another session for a few weeks' time. Maybe we could ask each of you to bring a friend. And for other groups, because I mean, all of us at the beginning, lots of people shared the different groups that they're a part of. Maybe we look at how we could invite at least one other person or group to join in and see where we can help, because there are going to be lots of other issues like the one you were just giving an example about the children that didn't have a football. There'll be no doubt many other challenges like that, and it'll be good to hear and to get to know about those things so we can actually respond to them. Gary.
It's thinking about keeping people coming and welcoming new people. I'm just going to play devil's advocate. Is this the best time on a Friday? I know a lot of people who are at work and so on might be going, oh, it's 3 o'clock. We want to go home as it's a Friday. We finish at 2 instead. I'm just going to chuck it out there. Maybe, I don't know, Jonathan or Marion, what you think, but we're obviously going to make a Friday.
It's a fair question. Jay, were you going to say something in a similar vein?
Absolutely, because I've shared the information with a group that does table tennis on a Saturday morning, and they do it for the community. But because they work and they've got full-time jobs, it's impossible to join on a meeting like this.
So maybe, sorry, Adam.
Sorry, I've got to go now. Apologies.
Okay.
See you
Take
later.
care. Good luck. Take care. Yeah, I mean, we could look to do the next one. I mean, when would the next one be anyway? That's 2 weeks time. 9.
It'll be about the 23rd, St George's Day.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to meet every fortnight. We'll have a look, but we could try and do one of an evening, if that helps at all. I mean,
and then you've got to look at the fact that it's Friday evening. I know not a lot of people are going out, but obviously some people do like a tipple.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that day, or it could be a week later. It could be another night, not a Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's a Friday is more the problem, maybe.
I agree.
So we could. You always have these questions. What night would be the best for you?
Tuesday night. Tuesday night.
Any bids other than Tuesday night?
Wednesday, Thursday, Monday.
Every day but Friday, Jenny.
Maybe we're going to have to alternate a daytime meeting one time, an evening meeting the next time.
Yeah, that's
very confusing.
Yeah. So we could see about an evening meeting, maybe. Let's see what we're looking at.
Is Graham still here? When do the councillors have their meetings? I guess you've probably got
not at the moment, because there's an election on. They're not going to be having any meetings.
Yeah, but there's still like a shadow thing, and there's obviously an election coming up as well. So there's a lot going on.
If there are any meetings to be had, they'll be at 7 o'clock at night. You know, and at the moment, the North Northampton meeting on a Thursday, and the borough councils had various days. So you know, it's all nobody's knows yet. They haven't even published putative dates on the Northants website for those that might need to put them in their diary. So, so you just can't tell. There will be a few daytime meetings, I suppose, but there won't be the full meetings or the cabinet meetings. At the moment, they're supposed to be evenings, which is wrong in my opinion. But there you go. That's the way they want it.
So in the next, but for the next months, because the elections are on, there aren't any meetings, are there? Not official council meetings from any council. No. So
there'll be the odd strange thing that I think there's a planning meeting on a Wednesday because that still has to go on, but that's about it.
So I mean, do we want to meet in another fortnight or make it slightly longer, or
should we try Tuesday the 27th just to play devil's advocate, because that's about 2.5 weeks? No, says Marion. So that's the problem. You've got to try and keep it simple, stupid, haven't you? Because otherwise people will just get confused.
It's just on the 28th is the management committee meeting, and I usually have to do loads of work for that. So,
and there are people that do attend this meeting, like people like Sky, for instance, who probably do it at this time because that's the time when they can work. Do you know what I mean? So, although there are advantages for people, I think Gary's right. Friday probably isn't the right day, so possibly a Thursday afternoon, stroke evening would be better.
Well, we could do Thursday the 29th of April.
Why don't we try a Thursday at the same time and then do what Jenny said, do the following one at the Thursday later, and then we can see how it makes any difference.
You mean do a Thursday in the day, in the work day?
Yeah. I just think, if I was still at the castle, I think I would be the same. I want to go home on a Friday. I've had enough at this point.
Okay, so what about then afternoon of the 29th of April, Thursday? Right, there's nobody saying not to do it. No one's saying not to do it. So that's
most people have drifted off, to be fair, but
no.
I couldn't do it before 3, but you can carry on before anyway, so it doesn't matter.
After 3 o'clock then, but that's going to be late because you don't want people don't want to hang about, do they? Whether it's a Thursday or a Friday.
I'm not saying for other people. I'm saying I wouldn't be able to get there.
Yeah, okay.
It's fine. Other people
okay.
Before.
Well, does that sound all right for the people that's still here? 2 p.m. on the 29th, Thursday the 29th of April, unless something happens otherwise.
And if it doesn't work, we go back again, don't we? So
yeah, it's going to wobble about a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you everybody for your time today. I hope you've enjoyed sharing. I think there is some real potential with this. I think, you know, it's just bringing more people. I think it's just so busy for many of us, isn't it, at the moment as well. But we can have a look at some of those resources that we could start to create, and also ask how people can help us to create them as well. But we will follow up, you know, some of the suggestions that people were saying, particularly Graham was saying and Jenny was saying about not duplicating things. So again, it's finding out how we can, you know, find out what's already going on within the community. Anything else anyone wants to say before we finish? No, right. Cool. Thank you,
Gary's
everybody.
got his hand out on. Gary's
I think he's waving.
Goodbye, hopefully.
Thank you, everybody. And if you have a football that you want to give away, Gary's your man.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yeah, take care and have a good afternoon. And weekend, isn't it? Is it Friday? Is it weekend? Yay. Bye, everybody.